Shawn Porter, after witnessing Errol Spence Jr. dominate Yordenis Ugas in the 10th round stoppage, he still has Terence Crawford rated #1 welterweight in the world. The real question is, will that carry over into the actual ring when these two face off at the end of 2022? Guys, you know what time it is. Let's talk about it. Yo, what up, guys? It's your boy T-Dub Whatsblazing the sports. Yes, of course, I am back at it like a crack addict, giving you boxing geek girls this work. All right, guys, Shawn Porter still has Terence Crawford rated #1 over Errol Spence Jr. The YouTube streets, the boxing world has been split. Maybe not down the middle, but definitely split between who would win between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. Many people have come out and said, listen, although Terence Crawford is a great boxer, he does have flaws, he does get hit, he is no Floyd Mayweather. And he has never had anyone that's going to put the amount of pressure that Errol Spence Jr. is going to put on him. Listen, guys, I got to say this. I think this is going to be, a candidate of fight of the year type of fight. This is definitely going to be one, even if the fight doesn't live up to it. The hype alone for this type of fight, because what each of these guys can do, possess, and the skills they bring in the ring, it is just amazing. With Terence Crawford, when you look at Terence Crawford, he is one of them guys that he's very tricky in the ring. He is also educated. He thinks, he walks you into thick things, and he can counterpunch very well. In the Shawn Porter fight, going into the 10th round, when someone told him that he was down the scorecards, it was actually a counterpunch that hit Shawn Porter that dropped him. And also, the second time, it was a wild exchange with Terence Crawford being pinpoint accurate again, catching Shawn Porter slightly bent over with a couple uppercuts and right hands and put him down for the second time. Now, when I look at Errol Spence Jr., guys, I don't know what it is about this guy. I think he got an obsession with eye sockets. When he fought Kell Brook, cracked his eye socket. Fought Danny Garcia, wasn't confirmed, but I have a suspicion that he cracked his eye socket as well. Yordenis Ugas, the guy he just fought, confirmed cracked his eye socket. And the only one that didn't get his eye socket cracked, but we heard about it, was Floyd Mayweather, and it was a rumor that Errol Spence Jr. blacked his eye. But he did not quite get to that eye socket like he wanted to. I'm pretty sure that was probably one of his main goals and mission in that sparring session, get to the eye socket. Now let's turn back to Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. Guys, this is an interesting matchup. Definitely one to me that it's clear. It is black and white. You can see it. You just don't know how it's going to play out. What I'm saying is, from the outside, I believe Terence Crawford is going to have an advantage from the outside. Possibly reach. I haven't checked it yet, but I think on possibly reach, timing, and just a skill level, I think Terence Crawford is going to have an advantage on the outside. And then on the inside, I think it is clear that for most people that Errol Spence Jr. is going to have an advantage on the inside. And that's probably where he does a lot of more damage, when he's going to the body and targeting the face, in particular, the eye. I want to see what Terence Crawford going to do. Now, I have some ideas on what he can do. When someone is fighting inside, you don't have to stay there. You know what I'm saying? When someone comes inside, you can turn a person, you can move to the side, you can jump back, you can use a jab, you can tie up, you can spin, you can slight push off, get back on doing some work again. You don't have to necessarily stay there to give that type of work. But it's going to be hard to turn and push somebody all night, especially someone that's determined like Errol Spence Jr. That showing against Ugas, I thought he did great. The way he pushed the action, it's like he turned the heat up even more when he went after Ugas. He actually broke Ugas' will to compete. Ugas was not the same. He wasn't coming forward. He wasn't throwing shots. He wasn't even countering like that. Yes, he threw a couple shots here and there, but it was clear when Errol Spence Jr. went to operate like a surgeon, Ugas was a patient, and he just took a lot of it. He just went into a turtle shell at some point just to try to catch some of the blows. He probably realized his vision was fading, and eventually went black in one eye. That's a scary sight. Can he do it to Crawford? Can Crawford come into this fight and keep both eyes open, keep both eye sockets intact? Um, I don't know. I don't know, but I tell you one thing: we got two guys that are skilled and they believe they can beat the other. That's great already. Nobody's backing down, like the movie No Back Down. No one's scared. They both gonna come forward. You're gonna have two fighters. Earl and Terence are gonna meet in the ring, and from there, both guys are going to try to assert their dominance. Terence Crawford going to show that I am number one. I'm the reason that I am on the pound for pound list, or considered pound for pound. Arguably number one or two, and Errol Spence Jr. is not. But if Errol Spence Jr. can secure a win against Terence Crawford, which many fans and his fans believe he can, he might possibly take the place of Terence Crawford, as Terence Crawford will fall on the list. If Terence Crawford can beat Errol Spence, there would be a great argument that he should leapfrog Canelo Alvarez if he's not already number one on your list. But on some people's list, it doesn't matter what Terence Crawford do. He would never, ever leapfrog Canelo Alvarez. He has just too big of an engine pushing behind him to keep him to that number one spot. But guys, it's your boy T Whatsblazing Sports. I would love to hear what you guys think about this matchup. Whose side are you going on? Who has more weaknesses and why? Can Errol Spence Jr., will he do it? Will he pull it off against Terence Crawford? Will Terence Crawford rise to the occasion and beat Errol Spence Jr.? In the welterweight division, when it comes to who's been doing the heavier lifting, clearly, Errol Spence Jr. has been doing the heavier lifting. The guy got 3 titles. He fought, he beat, he conquered all his opponents, and he kept his O intact. Terence Crawford has not fought the level of competition at welterweight, but the people he has been in the ring with, he has got them out of there, right? Both guys are bringing something in the ring. Terence Crawford has stopped everyone in welterweight. Can he stop Errol Spence Jr.? Can he hurt Errol? Can he drop Errol? Because he has done it to everyone he has faced thus far as a welterweight. Or will Errol Spence Jr. go on there and remind us or show us again who he is, what he can do, and what he predicted in the past is now coming today? He said, I'm going to clean up my side, get all 3 titles, and then I'm coming for your belt. Would that be successful and he gets Terence Crawford belt? Or would it be the first time, like insufficient funds, he get declined? Guys, subscribe to the channel. This is your boy T Whatsblazing the Sports. Guys, we are hot. The blaze goes on. And I'm out.